And then can you message Connor about my phone? It stresses me out not having it. Hey! Guys! We're on the front page today. Twitch has been really sick about pushing the educational stuff on the front page. It's pretty sweet. Hello, everybody. Hello, front page. Live from Alveus, Texas. We're a town. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm good. I'm nervous. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little nervous. It's a big day, guys. It's a big day. We have had Winnie for quite a while. And I only do Animal Quest once a month, so what are you going to do? But I have been avoiding this Animal Quest a little bit because it's a big one. Does my camera look like shit? Or does it look fine? It look like shoot? Sorry. No? Okay, cool. Excellent. Looks normal. All right, cool. So don't be nervous. You're good at this. Thank you. It's just a really big topic. It's just a really big topic. All right? We're not going to swear on the front page anymore. Checking, 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 testing, testing, testing. Mic is buzzing. You're right. I don't know why, though. Oh, maybe that's why. Is that why? I'm at the chat. This was like a little bit unplugged. Saved, fixed. What do you think? Saved. Good. Cool. Wicked. All right. So here we go, everybody. So welcome to Animal Quest. If you have not seen this stream before, welcome to Alveus Sanctuary. All right. We have an animal sanctuary out here in Austin, Texas. And we rescue animals, mostly exotic animals, because we do conservation education. But some of the animals that we have are domestic animals. We have chickens, and we have domestic rats, and we have Winnie, our cow. So we are going to go out there and meet her today. We're going to swap to the backpack about halfway through this presentation. We are unfortunately not bringing Winnie up to the studio today because she's 900 pounds. But we will go see her. All right? But Animal Quest is a spotlight on each species that we have at Alveus. Okay? I do a presentation. I made this presentation. Okay, I hope you like it. I make them all myself. I do all the research myself on a species that we have here, and I teach you about the animal that we have, and then about their species, the conservation threats that they face. For this one, we are talking specifically about the agricultural industry, the beef industry even more specifically, how it impacts our planet. I'm going to give you guys some recommendations. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing, and it should be a good time. It should be a lot of learning. Make sense? Animal Quest, a spotlight on a species that we have at Alveus Sanctuary. Alveus Sanctuary, command Alveus to learn more. Shall we just get into it? Let me start this Animal Quest by saying I'm very nervous to do it because it's a very big topic and there are a lot of very strong opinions on both sides of this topic. I will say I am a conservationist and I also am an ag major. So I've been heavy on both sides in my life. So those are my credentials for you. I have a degree in agricultural communications. Here I am communicating agriculture. Dude, my college professors would be so proud of me. Actually, I didn't even think about that until now. I got to email one of them. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, let's begin. Animal Quest, Cow Edition. Here we go. Before we talk about cows, before we talk about everything, we're going to learn about who Winnie is. So Max and Danny didn't have time to make the videos. I asked offline chat one morning if anyone was down to make a video. And then Shrez and Mick both sent me one by the end of the day before I even asked like one of them specifically for it. And I'm just going to play both. It's redundant, but they're both really good and I feel bad picking one, so I'm going to play both. Oh, I asked Alveus chat, not offline chat. Ready? Here we go. This first one is Shrez's, right? Yes. This is Shrez's video. Look, it's Winnie. Wow. I did that. I did do that.
Who is this? Hi, baby.
Look at the baby Winnie. Oh my gosh.
And she knows about Alveus, and she knows that I wanted to get a cow as an ambassador for the beef industry and the environmental impacts of the agriculture industry, so she let me come pick her up. Because she was coming off a beef operation, she
So tiny.
would be sent to auction as an adult, or when she was
Look, her love of tripods began so early. She still loves tripods. Running.
Winnie, what do you think? Do a little quick lap? Tired?
She's so
I
cute.
made Winnie a birthday cake for her first birthday. It has one candle because she's 1 year
This was last month.
old. Look, this is your birthday cake.
Look, she's so big now.
Birthday! Your birthday cake! Exciting news about the birthday cake. Yay!
She got so big.
It's grain. Surprise.
Itchy. Winnie's just outside. We're gonna go see her soon. All right, Shrez's video. Thank you so much, Shrez. This is Mick's video. Same thing. Winnie's story. Let's see. G-Wall, thank you. One more time. Oh, look at that. Sorry. She was bottle baby because her mother was not able to nurse her. I know my cam is blocking something. I can't do anything about that. She was picked up and moved to Texas at Alveus. This is Winnie the day that she arrived. This is her now. Crazy. Yay, thanks, Vic. Thanks for reading that. Pretty good. Pretty good. Fake, you switched the cow. No, I did not. Why is my freaking microphone cutting out? Why does it always do that? Is it this pack? Or is it me? I feel like it only happens with me. But it's not even tucked in anywhere. I don't know. Okay, so run it back one more time. Winnie is our cow here at Alveus. She looks like that, kind of. I got her from a cattle operation in Oklahoma. I went and picked her up. Her mom was not letting her nurse, and so she was a bottle baby. Ranchers don't like having bottle babies because it's a lot of work to take care of them. She would have been shipped off to the auction for slaughter at about this time because she's about a year old now. But they let me pick her up from that operation, bring her back here. We bottle fed her, and now she lives here. So she will not be going to auction, which is pretty cool. But yeah, she is a beef cow. Was bred to be a beef cow. So that's who Winnie is. Let's talk about cows a little bit. Okay, let's talk about cows and humans. Cows and humans go way back. All right, it's not just the beef industry. Cows are used in agriculture for pulling things, for tilling fields. They were first domesticated over 10,000 years ago, which is crazy. But cows are used obviously heavily in the dairy industry and the beef industry. We're going to get really deep into both of those today. The beef industry itself, this is the main point of the presentation today. This is what we're going to talk about today. Why is it so popular? We've probably all eaten beef before. It's a massive, massive industry. I spent hours doing research on this industry. There's a lot of information out there. Let's start with the scope of it. All right, how big is it? How big is it? This is a feedlot in Texas, Panhandle, in Texas. There's about 5,000 cows here or so. It's a pretty normal sized feedlot in Texas. Note, just for scale, okay, this is one feedlot in Texas, right? It's pretty regular. Just in Texas. This is a map showing graphs of, only look at the orange bits. All right, this is in millions of tons of protein. So if you look at North America up above me right here, that's in millions of tons of protein. Then if you look at Latin America right here, there's way more. Latin America's at 12.2 million tons of protein a year. North America's at 10.1 millions of tons. Western Europe, 10.4, 4.0, 2.2, 2.7, 9.7, 19.4 in East and Southeast Asia. That's a lot of millions of tons of protein. So there's a lot of beef cattle in the world, okay? Just to give you like a scope of the size. We are going to do some polls though to gauge how big you guys think it is. All right, how many cattle are there just in the United States? How many cattle are there in the United States? Is it 20.5 million, 89.3 million, 95.5 million, or 100 million? What do you think? Type A, B, C, D. Most people are saying C, 95.5 million cattle. 20.5 million, 89.3 million, 100 million. What are we looking at? What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Still most people saying C. Pause champ. All right. Most people saying C. The correct answer is B. 89.3 million head of cattle in just the United States. That's a lot of cows. More polls. What is the estimated annual gross income of the cattle industry in the U.S.? Annual gross income. How much do they make a year in the U.S. off of beef cattle? Is it A, 200 million, B, 1 billion, C, 100 billion, or D, $500 billion a year? What are we thinking? A, B, C, D. How big is this industry? How much money does it bring in? Where's my matcha? It's over here. Type in your guesses, A, B, C, or D. This mic cutting out is driving me insane. Are you guys hearing that too, or is it just me? Yeah, they are. We're going to swap my mic. This is annoying me. Thanks. Hold on. Testing. Testing, 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 testing. So far, so good. Here's this one. Thank you. Let's try this one, see if it's a little better. Okay. So most people saying C at $100 billion. Go ahead and close that poll here. The correct answer for this poll is C. You guys are geniuses. You guys all know. Amazing. Ow. I hit my elbow. Yeah, it is 100. Thank you so much. It's $100 billion a year industry in just the U.S. Okay? Crazy. Huge, huge industry. One more poll. How many pounds of beef does the average American consume per year? What do you think? 10 pounds of beef per year. 24 pounds, 36 pounds, 54 pounds. Why is that crazy? That guy's rich. He doesn't think $100 billion a year is crazy. All right. Most people guessing D. Most people guessing D. Can I get that in normal units? I'm so sorry. These are all in freedom units. Pounds is fake weight. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. The correct answer, though, 54 pounds, about 54 pounds of beef a year per average American. All right. So There's just some estimates about the size of the industry, so you guys have an idea of what we're talking about here, what we're working with today. So, one of the first things that people talk about or think about when they think of the beef industry is animal welfare concerns. Let's get into it, okay? Good timing actually, let me call Connor. Yo, is this Prezi? Yeah, it is, and I don't want to hear anything about... Look, I used Prezi in college. I use Prezi now. I love it, okay? It goes great. It works great. I'm going to call Connor because he's going to help me with this in a second. Ready for me? Yep. All right, come on. Just a quick phone call. Okay, so people talk about animal welfare concerns in both the beef and dairy industry. We are going to talk about some of them in the beef industry. These are some regular practices in the beef industry, and we're going to go through them. A lot of people think of them and think that they are animal welfare concerns because a lot of them can be pretty gnarly. Connor's going to talk about castration in just a second. I will go ahead and talk about disbudding and dehorning right now while we wait for Connor to come in here. So, disbudding and dehorning cattle. I grew up raising dairy goats, okay? So I'm going to use my personal experience as an example. I grew up raising dairy goats. We disbud goats that live in herds because that way they can't hurt each other and they can't hurt us. That's what I did growing up. The method that we used for disbudding goats growing up was cauterizing, and I would never do this now. But I did this growing up to all of the animals because that's how I learned to do it and that's how everybody did it. But there's lots of ways to disbud and dehorn animals. There are saws, scoops, spoons, gouges to take away that tissue around the horn so that they cannot grow horns. There's a hot iron electric dehorner. That's what I used growing up that, again, would not use now, but I have done it before. It's pretty gnarly. I'll show you some pictures in a second, but there will be a warning before I put pictures up there. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is like digging it out or burning it off so that horns can't grow there. Most of these practices that we're talking about, there's also caustic paste, so a chemical disbudding or dehorning. There's no really like good way to do it. No non-painful way to do it unless the animal is completely knocked out, which in ag operations, even small ones, is not usually realistic. And there's usually no sedation because they have so many animals to go through. So it's super, super gnarly. Then why do it? The main reason that people do this is to protect the cows from each other and then to protect the people from the cows so that they don't grow horns, so that they don't hurt people or hurt each other because they're kept in very small spaces. So it's for the safety of those animals and the safety of the people. But the process itself is really, really gnarly. Connor's going to come in here right now and talk to you guys about castration because that's also a normal practice in the industry to keep cows safe from each other, to keep them from breeding each other, and to keep people safe from bulls. Connor?
Hello, I love talking about nuts. Let's do this. All right, chat. So so I was a vet tech for 5 years. I've helped with some of these procedures. It's not fun. It's
We're
not
on the front page.
good. Oh.
Just don't swear. That's fine.
Okay. It's not good. It's not fun, and it's if not done properly, it is a big hazard for the animals and for the people. So one of the common ways that you'll see operations do it is there's a rubber band technique. So we're gonna pretend.
This is how I used to castrate. I'm not saying that all of these things I would not do now. All right, I was a kid and that's how I learned how you're supposed to do them. This is how this is how I castrated dairy goats growing up.
So
Here you go.
Is my mic okay, Space? Am I too loud?
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. I'm buzzing.
Yeah, you are buzzing.
Okay, so he's gonna swap me real quick. I got batteries right here. You wanna?
So there's several ways that you can castrate animals. People castrate male cattle in the beef industry because you can't have a bunch of bulls in the same place because they'll fight, they'll kill each other, they'll hurt people, and then they'll breed females, and you don't want that. So they castrate them in the cattle industry. There are lots of different ways to do that. When I say castration, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about neutering them, or making it so that they cannot reproduce. Yeah, we understand.
Check.
We're talking. Yeah, so we're talking about methods of castration here. That's what Connor's talking about. Jeez.
What?
It's fine.
Am I loud?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay. All right, so we got the banding. So these are going to act as our testicles.
Not
here.
cutting their dick off. No. Connor might need to explain some like simple biology. Maybe we'll go through it. We'll just go ahead.
Can I show this diagram?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we're looking at here. We're talking about taking these off and altering these and leaving everything else. These are the testicles where the sperm comes from. We're not messing with anything else because that's cruel. It's already kind of cruel to do this, but in this method. So Maya's going to hold our demonstration testicles.
There are 2 balls in here. It's in a bag. So this is, you guys get it? Okay.
All right. So the first banding technique is there's this really, really tight rubber band that's not this elastic. And there's a device, a metal device.
It's like, they're like this big. Like that big.
And it's
and you
rough.
can't pull it apart unless you have like a tool to do it. It's like a metal tool. It like expands it. You have to like crank it to expand it.
It's rough. It's a very tough tool to work with. So my hand's the tool. You take the testicles, you go around that, and then it cinches down super tight. So tight that it cuts off blood flow to the testicles, and they eventually rot off and die. They fall off.
Yeah.
So that is a very fast way to neuter male animals. And here are the issues with it. 1, it hurts, but it probably doesn't hurt as bad as other things. It's just like a slow aching pain that happens over time. But the issue is infection. And oftentimes they'll treat with antibiotics, sprays, and stuff like that to help reduce that. But it's a very, very fast and cheap way to get that done. So that's one method. The other method that is more painful but safer for the animal is called, it's a crimp. It's basically what it is. So imagine we've got the cord in here running up to the body to the male reproductive organs that delivers the sperm when copulation happens. So what we want to do with this method is we want to sever this spermatic cord, is what it's called, without going in there and doing surgery. Because surgery takes a while. You have to sedate the animal. You've got to numb it up. So instead, what they found is if you apply a ton of pressure and do it very fast and quick, it is easy to cut the spermatic cord by using a tool that's like a clamp, and then bam, and then you crunch it down and you sever every single thing that goes into the testicles. So therefore, the testicles then will either stay there in like a preserved state, depending on what the body does, or the body eventually reabsorbs the testicles. I've done this method to goats, and it is horrible. At the vet clinic I worked at, we put a lot of numbing agents in there where they were hopefully not going to feel it, but most farm operations don't put any lidocaine in there. So we put lidocaine, let it wait, and then we still came in and we still did it. And the goats, I've never heard a worse sound out of a goat than what we did to them. But they got over it really quick because they're young.
Also note, this is a process that was probably like not like a ag operation, like someone's goat, right? So like a pet goat or something. On big operations where it's a commodity, you know, and they're cranking out these animals, there is no sedation used normally. So it's typically they put them in a chute, they cut them, or they band them, or they crimp them, or whatever, and then send them out. And then they go through and they send them out, and they send them out, and they don't have time to sedate them and then wait, you know, for them to go numb. They just cut them and let them go.
So here's the justification from the ag industry. It is not my justification. It is what I have worked in. And it is that if we spend more time doing this, it means the cost of animal products go up, and people don't want to pay for that. So that's not going to happen. And if you do it young enough, they forget about it and they move on. They're in pain for, a day or two, and then they have the rest of their lives that they're much happier. So 2 days of that versus, constantly in fights, getting injured, having to go get antibiotics. Because the second that you have to put antibiotics in a cow or a goat, you have to wait withdrawal periods depending on the antibiotic before it goes into processing. And that means the farm operation is losing money if they have to wait to process that animal.
Somebody said, is the first method basically a metal zip tie? It's not metal, it's rubber. Like really non-elastic rubber.
Yep.
So yeah, that number one. Number two, it really, if you have an operation with a lot of male animals in a small space, it is something that has to be done. Otherwise, it would get really ugly. If you had a bunch of non-castrated males in a very small space, they'll hurt each other. And that's not safe for them, and it's not safe for the people involved in taking care of them. Then we will talk about the system and why it's a thing that they all have to be in the same small space, but it has to be done. It has to be done for operations like the ones that we have today. But yeah, the way that it's done is pretty crazy. Is that all you have for castration?
The only thing I'll say is the best humane way to do it is to sedate and do surgery and remove the testicles outright, because we've gotten so good at neutering that they're super quick recovery. You can just use a little bit of super glue or absorbable sutures to hold the incision site together, and for the most part doesn't cause any issues. And it's a really good way that they don't even feel it and they recover quick.
Some people are asking if this is something that still happens. Yeah, absolutely. And then a couple people were asking what the most common method is. I don't know for certain, but I think it's just cutting. Every cattle guy that I've ever known just cuts. So like literally cuts in the field, lets them go.
There's a device that has a blade on it that looks like a big crimper, and you just crimp and then pull.
So you just cut everything off.
Yep.
And then let them go. That's like the fastest. Not that I know that many. I don't know how they do it over at the one we went to recently.
I'm not sure either. Pigs, yeah, they just cut them open, and they'll like just rip them out and throw them on the ground, and just let the wound heal itself. It's rough. It's all about being fast and doing it as cheap as possible, so they can make as much money as possible and keep the cost of goods down. So that's all I got.
Cool. All right. So that's what we have for castration. Thank you, Connor. Everybody. Sorry. I know it's a lot, but it's important to learn. I want to re-emphasize again, this is going to be the toughest part of this presentation if you are in the ag industry or if you are not on the side of, the other side, right? I want everybody to know I am an ag major. Okay. I grew up in the ag industry. I grew up in the livestock industry. I grew up raising dairy goats. My friends all raised market animals. Like I do understand both sides of the industry, but it is something that happens very commonly when you make livestock production into something large scale. You got to go fast, and sometimes it gets ugly, right? It's just a fact, and that comes from somebody who I really do care about the ag industry. Okay, so another thing that we have here is branding. So you guys probably know what branding is. Branding, very common. It's how you put your ranches or farm or whatever, your logo on that animal. It helps to identify the animals. There are two methods of branding. Typically, there's a hot iron and there is a cold iron. So number one, hot iron, about 968 degrees Fahrenheit. It's exactly what it sounds like. Iron, skin, burn. So you burn the hair off, you burn into the skin, and it creates a scar. Hair never grows back there, and then there's a brand, right? Then there's also cold iron, negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit. Similar process. You freeze it to the point where it makes a scar where hair never grows back. Cold irons are much more popular. They're more popular in the equine industry nowadays. Freeze branding, yeah. It's more popular in the equine industry that I've seen nowadays because people think that it's less painful. But then some of the stuff that I read said that there's pain that lasts for longer because it's like, yeah, it's kind of like frostbite. And so it takes a way longer time for them to heal from that. Like it just like, burns for longer than getting a hot. I don't really know. I haven't experienced both, so I can't tell you which one hurts more. But they say freeze branding hurts less in the moment, but then maybe hurts for longer. Hot branding hurts really bad in the moment. I don't know. Both are painful methods, okay? Both are painful methods. Cows have a brain, they have a central nervous system, they can feel pain just like humans can feel pain. Just imagine it on yourself if you're getting branded, whether it's a hot iron or a freezing cold iron, it's gonna hurt, okay? I am going to show you some pictures here, okay? Don't look if you don't want to see pictures of how these methods work. So number one, this is a hot iron electric dehorner. This is going to be cauterizing or disbudding cattle so that they don't have horns. They do this when they're very young. You have to do it when they're a baby before their horns grow so that they don't have a chance to grow because all of that tissue is dead. If you wait until they're an adult and they have horns, then they have to be taken off. There are several methods for this. I had to do this one time. I didn't do this myself. A vet did it. But I had a goat that we did not disbud early enough, and she grew horns. And so her horns had to be removed with a saw. It is extremely bloody. And in this, you can see that they're using like a tool, I'm not sure what it's called, to take those horns off. And they also have to take out a lot of the skin around the horns just so that there's no live tissue where they can continue growing horns back. So this is an older cow here getting dehorned. And then this is a branding thing. These are cattle that live in pastures. So you have to, a little less nowadays, but traditionally you're going to rope the babies or you're going to catch up the babies and then restrain them and then brand them on the ground. Another thing that's done without sedation because they have too many to go through and they don't have time to wait for them to get numb or for them to get tired or sleepy and then do it. They're just going to tie them, do it, let them go. Okay, so here are some of the animal welfare concerns. That's just the beef industry. I'm going to do an entirely, a whole additional presentation on the dairy industry or the veal industry. But I'm going to read you, I'm going to go full cam and talk about this. But look at this up here. Okay, that's a picture of some veal pens. We're going to talk about veal. Do you guys know what veal is? Actually, I'll talk about it in a second. Let's talk about the dairy industry for a second. Okay, this is really interesting. Okay, because I don't think that a lot of people know this. When you think of cows making milk, I think yes, baby cow, right? I think a lot of people think of cows like they do chickens, and they're like, oh, cows make milk. Like chickens can lay eggs that are not fertilized, right? Chickens will lay eggs that aren't fertilized. But cows don't produce milk. Nothing produces milk unless it has given birth. Okay, that's how lactation happens. They give birth, they produce milk to feed their babies. Okay, so cows don't just make milk, they have to be bred to make milk. And they have to constantly be bred to keep producing milk. Okay? You understand? So, how the dairy industry works then is you breed a bunch of cows, they have babies, they produce milk, so then you can start milking them, you can start getting milk for the dairy industry. If they have a girl, if the cow is a girl baby, then the girl will be, she'll produce milk, and she'll be a dairy cow. If the cow has a boy, there are a select few boys that will be kept around, not castrated and used for breeding other dairy cows. Very few though, right? Very few bulls for this purpose. Very few. Drop frames. One stutter. Okay, relax. Don't say F if it's one. So we're on the front page. So it lagged, repeat. If they have girls, the girls are brought into the dairy industry. They're bred, they're milked, they're making milk, and they're a part of that industry. If they give birth, what? He's fixing it. Hold on. If the cows give birth to a boy, boys can't produce milk, right? So they can't be brought into the dairy industry. They're virtually useless for the dairy industry. So a lot of the male babies, also 50-50, whether it's a girl or a boy, right, when they're born. I know there's an audio desync. We're fixing it. Okay. You can refresh if it's still bad. But the boys then oftentimes go into the veal industry. The veal industry is the meat industry for baby cows. Okay? So veal calves, there's two types of veal. There's bob veal and there's special fed veal. Okay? Babies are taken off of their mom after a few days. All right? And the bob veal calves are slaughtered at about 3 weeks old. And the special fed veal babies are slaughtered between 16 and 18 weeks of age. The point of the veal industry is to have very tender meat. They are fed only a liquid diet while they're in this industry. So, and they have very little space because they don't want them to develop muscle. They don't want their meat to be tougher. And so that is what this is above me. So these are some veal pens. Veal crates are not popular anymore. They used to be, where they would literally keep them in a crate so that they can really barely move. These are some veal pens where babies are just kept in a really small space. They're taken off their mom really early, and then slaughtered very early for the veal industry. So when it comes to the dairy industry, what is going on? When it comes to the dairy industry, female cows give birth to babies so that they can produce milk, and it's not effing okay. So that they can produce milk. If they have females, then the females go into the dairy industry to keep the cycle going. If they have males, then the males go into the veal industry. Does that process make sense to you guys? You get it? So I just think it's important for people to know that cows don't just produce milk. All right, they have to be bred to produce milk. And so there's a whole process, there's a whole cycle in the dairy industry. And I put this in the animal welfare section because this concerns a lot of people, when it comes to animal welfare. Just a constant process of breeding, ripping the baby away, getting milked, breeding, taking the baby, breeding, taking the, it's a whole thing, and it's their entire lives. And then a lot of times, this is something that I don't know that much about, I will admit, but I have read several things about once that female gets too old to lactate and continue producing, then they'll just go to auction. So then there'll be either ground beef, just like lower quality beef, or pet food, dog food, cat food, stuff like that. But when they get too old to produce, then they're useless to the dairy industry. And they don't have like retirement homes for dairy cow. If they're not producing, then they're out. And so most of those females will spend their doing that and then go to auction after. So those are some of the animal welfare concerns. All right. There's drama. Okay. This is why I am a little scared to talk about all this stuff today, because there's drama. All right. There's a lot of feelings on both sides. Again, I'm an ag major, so I grew up in the livestock industry. But then also I'm a conservationist, and I care a lot about animal welfare. And so I've seen a lot of both sides. All right. Polarization. If anyone here is NA, we know is really unfortunate for the causes of both sides, right? A lot of people on the vegan, vegetarian, animal welfare side really hate people that eat meat, really shame people for eating meat, really shame people for not caring, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people on the other side, on the ag side, think that vegetarians and vegans are stupid, and they think that they're soft, and they think whatever they think, right? There are a couple examples here that I have. It's kind of cut off by me, but one of the responses of the beef industry to this like vegetarian vegan movement, when people started caring more, was beef. It's what's for dinner, right? I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's a very like American thing, but people put it on their bumper stickers just to show that they support the ag industry. And then we have the other side. There are people protest. I saw someone protesting super recently in New York of the animal holocaust. They do a lot of crazy big demonstrations where they compare animals to people. We got our classic films about these industries, Cowspiracy, stuff like that. So lots of stuff on both sides. All right, it's a really, really big topic, okay? But one thing that we can both unite on is that everybody loves a baby cow. let's go meet our baby cow, everybody. We're going to go meet Winnie. She's not really a baby cow anymore. She's about a year old. But we are going to go hang out with her. I do think, don't say no uniting people riot, okay? All of the ag producers that I know really love their animals. It's a confusing thing, I know, because they're producing these animals. And then all the vegans and vegetarians that I know care a lot about animals. But when you put a baby cow in front of them, they all just think she's cute. And they're like, oh, we love her, right? So we're going to use this as a segue to go meet Winnie. See if we can do some uniting on both sides. She will always be a baby cow already. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna go down there right now and just hang out with her for a little bit, talk about it for a little bit. We're setting up the backpack right now to do a little swapperoo. Cool. The Liver King? Yeah, that guy's crazy. I don't know why. I just use that as an example of someone who's like hardcore carnivore, you know? All right, you ready? All right. We're swapping over. Ready? Yay! Yay! I'm taking the chat phone. Here we go, everybody. Welcome to Alveus. If you have not been here before, this is an animal sanctuary out in Texas. You're lucky it's a beautiful day. Yesterday it was kind of crazy, but now it's fine. We're gonna go down to the pasture right now. We'll go through this way. I have a key on me. We'll go through this way, and we're gonna say hi to Winnie. Hooray! There may be some people like working on stuff around here. I don't know. Alveus as a whole, it's a little windy. I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm opening chat. We rescue a bunch of different animals here, and then I do these educational programs like the one I'm doing today on the animals that we have to teach people about them. But all of the animals that we have here are ambassadors for different things. So hopefully you can like the specific animals that we have here and then care about their species as a whole. If you want to follow Alveus, you can. Alveus has its own socials. You can do command Alveus for that. And Alveus has live cams, so if you want to see what the animals are doing in their enclosures all day, full transparency, you can follow Alveus Sanctuary on Twitch, because we have live cams on all of the animals. Serrano! Okay, hold on. It's a little windy today. It's a little windy. Alright. In we go. Stompy! She's not really a part of this. Stompy's an emu. Kind of is a part of it, I guess. Emu meat was really popular up until the 90s as an alternative to red meat. So there was, emus were like agricultural stock until the 90s. They still are, but way less common. That's Stompy. Dun, 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 dun. This is Serrano. Dun, 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 dun. Baby cow! Look who it is! Oh, she's so big now. She's so big. I can't, dude, she was so small in those videos from before. She used to be like this, just little baby cow. Now she's big. Hey, get away. I'm gonna get a brush. She likes to brush. No! Chicken. Winnie got this brush for her birthday. Because she gets itchy. Can I brush you? You itches? Yay. Itchy baby cow. So, guys, this is Winnie. This is Winnie. She's a red Angus. Red Angus, you might recognize the term Angus beef from your grocery stores. Red Angus and Black Angus are marketed the same way. So when you're buying Angus beef, it's going to be an animal like this, or an animal that looks like her that's bigger and has black fur instead of red. But the red does better in places like Texas and Oklahoma just because they're better at tolerating the heat. But Winnie came from a cattle operation. Came from a cattle operation in Oklahoma. She is pretty small, but the red are smaller than the black Angus. I got her because her mom didn't let her nurse, and so she was a bottle baby. And ranchers don't like having bottle babies because they're a lot of work. You have to give them bottles 3 times a day. And so the ranchers were very nice in giving her to me. And I went and picked her up and brought her back here. We bottle fed her, and now she's an ambassador, so I can help teach people about the ag industry and about the choices that they make and how they impact the planet. And she can teach people about cows. Pretty nice. Can you get a close-up of her face while she's eating? She was a bottle baby. She used to get a big bottle like 3 times a day. Now she's not on bottles anymore. Now she eats hay and she gets grain as well. She's not really into eating other snacks besides hay and grain. She's a pretty simple woman. Pretty simple woman. A pretty simple, itchy woman. Do you guys have questions about this cow? She was so little. She was so little before. She was so little. Amazing. That's so nice. Does it drink normal water? Yes, she does. She doesn't do any tricks. She doesn't do any tricks. Is she gonna get a friend? We'll just have the one cow here. She lives in here with 2 donkeys and a horse and an emu. How much does she weigh? We think, okay, I said 900 before. I think she probably weighs more like 700 pounds. Oh, a trick, she does come to a cowbell. If you ring a cowbell, she'll come to it for grain. What is that brush? It's a shedding brush. It's her favorite one. She got it for her first birthday. Is it not bad to keep a single cow? Cows are herd animals, so they definitely do well living together. But because she has other livestock in here, and she's a bottle baby, so she just really, really mega loves people, she does okay on her own. But normally, you would want cows to live together, absolutely. Is she gonna get any bigger? Is she full grown? I don't think she's gonna get that much bigger. I don't think she's gonna get much taller than this. I mean, she may gain weight over time, but I don't think she's gonna get that much bigger. She's eating coastal hay right now. It's just dried grass, basically. Can you expand on the methane industry methane release with respect to the cattle industry? Oh yeah. Oh, we're gonna expand on it. All right, when we go back into the studio. There's a lot more, guys. This is not the end. This is not the end. If she likes honey, you can call her Winnie the Moo. Chatter. It's so funny that you say that. Her full legal name is Winnie the Moo. Her name is Winnie the Moo. How much in kilos? I don't know. Someone do the math. She's 700 pounds. What is that? I have no idea. How much is that in stones? A lot. I don't know. 320 kilograms. Cool. Does she ever get upset or aggressive? I mean, she certainly probably gets upset sometimes. I've never experienced her being aggressive. Sometimes she pushes me with her head. Does she run around? She does run around. She used to run around more when she was a baby. Now she kind of just like meanders. Now she kind of takes her time. No! Sometimes the emus mean to her. Don't worry about that. Will you breed her? No. No. I won't do that. It's not something that needs to be done. Any other questions on Winnie? of people are asking if I could ride her. Physically, she could absolutely carry me, but I don't think she would like it. So now I have never tried, and I probably will not try to do that. Why is she so cute? I don't know. That's just the way she is. Coward? That's weird. Sorry, I can't see my phone. Does her hair have to get cut ever? No, we don't shave her or cut her hair. This is just how her hair grows out. We have the same birthday. Yay! Her birthday's March 22nd, so she just turned a year old. Can we teach her to backflip? No. She is not branded. She does not have a brand. How much does she weigh? Probably about 700 pounds, 320 kilos, or kilograms. Kilos. What does she do when she's not eating or sleeping? She just walks around. Really? Actually, that's not true. She likes, there are balls in here, like rubber balls, that she likes playing with them. She'll like headbutt them and like run them into the fence and chase them around. Do you have to trim her hooves like a horse? Yeah, we are working on getting her okay with us picking up her feet so that we can file her hooves down. Actually, funny story and kind of relevant to this stream. Nobody has cows long enough to need to trim their hooves because they all get slaughtered. And so I've asked a bunch of people around if they can trim my cow's hooves, and their first reaction is, why? No. Why do you need to do that? And then their second reaction, like I asked an ag teacher, like a livestock ag teacher, a professor, and then an equine vet, and they were both like, you're gonna need either a chute or a table with straps on it. And they were like, you're gonna have to push her against the table, strap her down, and then flip the table over so that we can file her hooves down. And I was like, what if she's okay with that? Like, she's halter trained, right? So she can have a halter on, she'll walk on a lead. And I was like, what if I can have her on a lead? Can she just stand there while you like pick it up and do it? And they were like, why does she wear a halter? Or they're like, what do you mean she walks around with a halter? Like, what do you mean she'll just pick up her feet? People are just not used to that with livestock. Anyway, so this is Winnie. We'll probably come back down to see her. Maybe we could do the Q&A down here, I think. So maybe we'll do the Q&A at the end down here with Winnie. But yeah, that is Winnie. Now we're gonna go back up. All right. That's a good question. Someone just asked about dairy cow hooves. I don't know how they do dairy cow hooves. Because they must have to. I assume they have to. I don't know. Alrighty. Oh my gosh, windy. Windy. Hello? Ow! Hello? They put them in a chute and the legs go out behind them. Yeah, that makes sense. They use a lot of chutes for cattle, for dairy cow and meat cattle. I guess they just put them in a chute and like grab their legs and do it. I don't know. Alrighty. Winnie Day. Winnie Day. Happy Winnie Day, everybody. Back to class. Okay. Alright. Hello, Connor. We just went to see Winnie.
Look off! Fulton building.
That's the Alveus secret handshake. Alright! Okay. Alright. My hair. All right, we're good. Thank you, Space. All right, folks, we're back in the studio. What'd you think? What'd you think? Back from the field trip. Get a snacky. Everybody take a seat. It's time to get back into it. All right. Here we go. Why didn't Winnie's mom nurse her? I don't know the answer to that because I was not there. I didn't see what happened with her mom. She was just pulled off as a bottle baby. Okay. Actually, you know what? I think her mom had mastitis. Her mom had mastitis. Okay. All right. Here we go, you guys. Commercial ag and our planet. I put a transition here. Look, check this out. Boom. That's a metaphor. It's not really. It's actually pretty literal. Clear cutting. Okay. Guys. The cattle industry is huge. The beef industry is huge. To raise beef, you need pasture. To create pasture, you need to cut down trees. Okay, you need a lot of open space. You need to grow grass for pastures. And so a lot of this pasture, very unfortunately, is in the Amazon rainforest. There are a lot of rainforests that are clear cut to make room for cattle pastures. 70% of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest is linked to cattle ranching. For reference, check this out. This is the Amazon, right? This is a map of the Amazon. It is, the yellow is deforestation, okay? And the green is forest. 70% of that yellow bit that you see has been clear cut for cattle. For size reference, this is the same map. This is about, you can kind of like see it match up there. If you put it on top of each other, it'd be about the same size. That's the size of the US. It's huge. The Amazon rainforest is about twice the size of India. It houses 10% of our world's biodiversity. That is dense. That is a ton of our biodiversity in one place. And we have lost over 20% of it over the last 20 or so years, which is a huge problem for us. I'm going to let this video tell you a little bit more about why. Hold on, it's loading. That would have been a sick transition though, huh? I was like, oh, it tells about why. It would have like flowed in really smooth. I almost had it. You can't win them all. I might just need to refresh it, or I need like a mouse or something. Stand by. It's like an actual class. Did you do your homework? Did you bring a pink slip? Thanks.
Forests cover about 30%
It just glitched.
of the planet, and the ecosystems they create play an essential role in supporting life on Earth.
Is that loud enough?
But deforestation is clearing Earth's forests on a massive scale, and at the current rate of destruction, the world's rainforests could completely disappear within 100 years. Why should we care about deforestation? Together, forestry and agriculture are responsible for 24% of greenhouse gas emissions,
We're going to talk
making
about that more.
deforestation a significant contributor to climate change. Deforestation impacts the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere in two ways. First, when trees are felled, they release the carbon they are storing into the atmosphere.
That sucks.
Second, trees play a critical role in absorbing the greenhouse gases that fuel global warming.
Important.
Fewer forests mean larger amounts of greenhouse gases entering the atmosphere, and increased speed and severity of global warming.
Carbon sequestration.
In addition to helping regulate the Earth's climate, forests provide habitats for over 80% of the plants and animals that live on land. But deforestation destroys these habitats, diminishing biodiversity. Some estimate that 4,000 to 6,000 rainforest species go extinct each year. This also affects the more than 2 billion people who rely on forests as sources of food and shelter. The biggest driver of deforestation is agriculture. Farmers chop down trees in order to plant crops like soybeans, palm trees, and cocoa, or to make room to raise livestock for beef. Logging operations, which provide the world's wood and paper products, also cut countless trees each year. Forests are also destroyed as a result of growing urban sprawl as land is developed for dwellings. The effects of deforestation are grave, but not irreversible. Efforts such as managing forest resources, eliminating clear-cutting, and planting new trees to replace those removed are already being made to reduce deforestation's environmental impact on our planet. And while some plant and animal species are gone forever, combating deforestation can help prevent further loss of biodiversity.
Oh, shoot. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, shit. Shoot. I accidentally clicked on one of those. Clicked on one of those pop-ups. Okay. Sorry. So sorry. Okay, so a ton of deforestation happens so that we can support the size of the ag industry and support the amount of people that we are feeding with what they're choosing to eat. Okay? So they talked a little bit about in that video about trees releasing carbon when they're cut down. Trees, rainforests sequester a ton of carbon. We are going to talk about the greenhouse gas effect in a little bit, but it's very important that we have forests for lots of reasons, so that they can sequester carbon, so that we have space for the various species that we have on the planet. That is their habitat. Super, super important. Biodiversity, what I just said, to maintain biodiversity. Who better to tell you why biodiversity is important than everybody's favorite, David Attenborough.
This spider monkey is an unwitting climate activist. Large fruit eaters such as this one spread the seeds of tropical hardwood trees in their dung, helping to build up forests which absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And this is just one of perhaps millions of interactions that guarantee a healthy and functioning planet. Humans have spent hundreds of years documenting life on Earth, and we now have a catalogue of around 1.6 million species. However, there may be 7 or 8 million more that we don't yet know about. We have a good idea of the large animals, such as mammals and birds, but there are doubtless even some of these that we've missed. And the smaller you go, the more species there are left to find. As the human impact on the planet intensifies, scientists fear that many species could be lost before we even discover them. So why is it so important that we protect our planet's biodiversity?
Why?
When we think of protecting wildlife, we tend to picture the superstars. But the organisms that do most of the hard work keeping our planet healthy are the unglamorous ones.
Talk to him,
This
David.
biodiversity provides us with the food we eat, from the microorganisms that enrich the soil where we grow our crops, to the pollinators who give us fruit and nuts, and the fish that are the main source of animal protein for around 1 billion people. Many of our medicines originate from plants and fungi, and many more may lie undiscovered in remote corners of the world. For instance, there's a fungus that grows on the fur of sloths that could help treat some forms of cancer. The natural world shelters and protects us too. Trees and shrubs protect our homes from flooding, and coral reefs and mangroves shield our coastlines from storm surges. And all that is not to mention the great spiritual and cultural value that nature holds for human beings the world over. But despite the overwhelming benefits of a healthy planet, many human actions are destroying biodiversity. Changes to habitats for grazing, mining and crop production, including the use of harmful fertilizers, have had a huge impact on land and sea. We hunt animals for meat and prize body parts. More than 300 mammal species risk being consumed to extinction. And then there's climate change. This affects the whole world, putting huge pressure on wildlife. In 2016 and 2017, half the corals in the Great Barrier Reef died as a result of the warming of the seas. So, what must we do now to slow down the crisis we are faced with? In addition to cutting our carbon emissions, we must find ways of using land and water that cause the least damage to the environment,
Yay,
leaving
missed the
enough
forest.
space for natural habitats to thrive. We must urgently protect the so-called biodiversity hotspots. But equally, we should be rebuilding biodiversity wherever and however we can. Sometimes this is as simple as giving plants and animals the space they need to succeed, and sometimes they need hands-on management from humans. In 2020, with the help of reintroduction experts in the south of England, white-stalked chicks hatched for the first time in 600 years. Hands-on management was also critical to restoring the population of mountain gorillas in the Virunga National Park in Central Africa. This included using a proportion of the money raised through tourism to help human communities coexist with their animal neighbours. We must provide pathways for global development that work with rather than against nature, and we need to give the communities affected a seat at the table. The benefits provided by nature are indispensable for making human life both possible and worth living. We need all the riches of our living planet to help us live healthy, happy lives long into the future. Find out more about biodiversity and its
Beautiful, isn't it?
importance by visiting our online Q&A. Go to royalsociety.org/biodiversity.
Excellent. Great video. So I wanted to play that video, one, because it's beautiful, and two, because I think it's just important to tell you guys why biodiversity is important, right? Someone told me very recently that biodiversity is like a plane wing, or all of the species are like bolts that hold the plane wing together. And you can take some bolts out, some species can go extinct, but eventually if you take enough of them out, or you take the wrong one out in the wrong place, the whole wing's gonna fall off and the plane's gonna crash, right? It's all a domino effect. It's all very important. It's very important to support as many species as we can for the success of our planet, right? And the ag industry is so massive that it takes a giant toll on biodiversity. I think a lot of people don't think about that. They think about the animal welfare, they think about the water use, but they don't think about how it's really impacting a ton of species. So this is a very important conservation question. All right, next up, land and water use, like I just said. Okay, a lot of people think about this when they think of the ag industry. Pretty massive. Agricultural lands take up about 40% of Earth's land surface. 40% of Earth's land surface. Y'all, that's a lot. Considering how much, that's a lot. That's a lot, okay? About 66% of that 40% of the land surface is used for animal agriculture. Animal agriculture, right? So dairy, egg production, beef production, pork production, whatever. Animal agriculture, right? About 70% of our world's freshwater usage is dedicated to agriculture. That's a very controversial number, okay? I've done a lot of research for this, and that is the number that I settled on. There are a lot of numbers out there for how much of our freshwater use goes to animal agriculture, but The answer that I'm telling you guys is about 70% of our freshwater usage is dedicated to agriculture. That seems like a lot, doesn't it? That seems like a lot of our freshwater usage, right? And that's because it is a lot, because it takes a lot of water to support agriculture. And we're not just talking about how much water cows drink. Granted, Winnie drinks a lot of water. All right, she does slurp down a lot of water every day, but that's not what it is. Okay, it's a lot more. It's watering and irrigating crops, one, for growing. This is all agriculture. This is 40%, 70% of freshwater usage for all agriculture, not just animal agriculture. So we got watering crops for eating produce, but then we also have irrigating crops that cows eat, okay? Cows, like you saw, Winnie was eating hay. That hay takes a lot of water to produce, takes a lot of water to support the transportation and the production of all of these crops that support our animal agriculture. There is cleaning agricultural facilities. There's a lot of water involved in that. There is, this again, irrigating crops. And then there's also like animals drinking water. Cows can drink a lot of water, but this is not where the 70% number is coming from. Okay? About 40% of that 70% is used for animal agriculture, which is still a lot. Okay? That's a ton of our freshwater usage. Here's the big one. People wanted to talk about methane. Okay? This is a big conversation. Let me be fully transparent here. All right? Yes, I have an agriculture degree. Am I fully qualified to teach you about the greenhouse gas effect and tell you about why methane is a problem? I don't feel that way, no. But I have done a lot of research, and I'm going to do my best, okay, to articulate this to you guys. A lot of people know about cows and methane. It's become like popular news. We talk about cow farts. We talk about cow burps. Why is that a thing? Before we talk about why cows produce methane, we're going to talk about the greenhouse gas effect and why it's a problem that they're producing this methane, why cow farts and burps matter. Okay, this is the greenhouse gas effect.
What is the greenhouse effect?
I'll turn it up.
Earth is a comfortable place for living things. It's just the right temperature for plants and animals, including humans, to thrive. Why is Earth so special? Well, one reason is the greenhouse effect. A greenhouse is a building with glass walls and a glass roof. The clear glass allows sunlight to shine into the greenhouse while also trapping the sun's heat inside. This is how a greenhouse keeps plants warm even at night and in the winter. The greenhouse effect keeps Earth warm in pretty much the same way.
Earth
isn't surrounded by glass, but it is surrounded by a jacket of gases called the atmosphere. In the daytime, the sun shines through the atmosphere, warming Earth's surface. After the sun goes down, Earth's surface cools. This releases heat back into the air, but some of that heat is trapped by the gases in the atmosphere. These heat-trapping gases are called greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane are all examples of greenhouse gases.
There it is, guys.
Earth needs a balance of greenhouse gases to maintain just the right temperature for living things. But some human activities are changing Earth's natural greenhouse effect. For example, burning fossil fuels like coal and oil releases more carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. These extra greenhouse gases can cause the atmosphere to trap more and more heat, leading to a warmer Earth. NASA satellites are constantly measuring the gases in our atmosphere from space. They've observed increases in the amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. The information from NASA satellites can help scientists figure out where greenhouse gases are coming from and how they are ending up in our atmosphere. This information will help us better understand the impact that greenhouse gases have on our climate and help us better understand this very special greenhouse that we call home. Find out more about our Earth at NASA Climate Kids.
Yeah, I showed you a kids video. Don't worry about it, though. You didn't even know. Okay, greenhouse gas effect. All right, look at this. This is the Earth. I don't want to hear it. All right, okay, that was a little bit flat. Okay. This is the Earth. All right, that's the Earth. We are surrounded by the atmosphere. Oh, now it's an egg. Don't worry about it. This is the atmosphere, right? This is the sun. hello, everybody. Oh my God, I'm the sun, right? Sun shines down into Earth. Bow. Heats the Earth, nice and warm. We need it to be this temperature to keep life alive, right? Then, some of that is reflected back, easy peasy. A nice balance, a nice give and take. We're perfect. Everything's great. Everything's in equilibrium. Everything's great, right? There are some greenhouse gases. Hold on. For educational purposes. There are some greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are in red here, all right? These are greenhouse gases. This is a normal amount of greenhouse gases. When it's pushed back into the atmosphere, a normal amount, it's still fine. We're at equilibrium. It's great. Everything's happy. We got the right temperature. We're feeling good. We got sunglasses on, chilling outside, t-shirt, shorts, whatever, right? But then, because of all the stuff that we have going on our planet, transportation, the ag industry, list of all the things that produce greenhouse gases, we're putting more of those gases into our atmosphere, right? Oh no, now there are so many. So, when this goes in, when it tries to go out, it can't. Because of all the greenhouse gases, right? So, the Earth gets hotter, right? This is why people, didn't close it. This is why people talk about global warming, okay? Climate change. Why is the heating of our Earth a problem? For a lot of reasons. For a lot of reasons that go far beyond cows, okay? Global warming is affecting North Atlantic right whales. North Atlantic right whales depend on a food source that needs cold water. And so their food source is moving into places where there are cold water. And so the right whales are changing their migration paths to get to places that have colder water so that they can eat. And they're dying because where they're going is not somewhere where they can survive. For several reasons, one of them being because there are a bunch of vessels and there's more traffic there, right? And so they go there and then they get hit by boats. And they get entangled in fishing gear. And now there are only 340 of them left in the wild, okay? That's an example. Another example, you're not going to believe this. Turtles, sea turtles, when they lay eggs in the sand. You guys know this? They lay eggs in the sand, and the sex of the eggs that hatch is dependent on the temperature of the sand. Because there's a gradient throughout the nest of like warmer, colder temperatures, so it usually works out. I don't remember if it's like hot is boys or cold is girls or the other way around. I don't remember. But their sex is dependent on the temperature of the sand. With the world, with the Earth heating up, with our atmosphere heating up, it is female is okay. They're female if they're hotter, if it's hotter, okay, in the sand. So with the atmosphere heating up, the ratio of sexes for sea turtles is getting thrown off. So we have less sea turtles because you need males and females to reproduce. And so we're having less males, then less male sea turtles because of the heating of the Earth, okay? Heating of the Earth affects our waterways. Heating of the Earth affects a lot of animals in a lot of different ways. Those are the only two examples I can think of off the top of my head. But does that make sense? Okay, so we're not going to talk about like the whole thing. It's not a presentation on global warming, but it is a presentation on how cattle contribute to that. So that is why it's a problem. One of the greenhouse gases that is a huge problem that people talk about is methane. Cattle produce a ton of methane, a ton of it. Why? I don't know why I'm doing this, because I took animal science when I was a sophomore in college and learned about the ruminant digestive system, and I don't remember enough of it to teach y'all, but here we go. All right, this is a cow. Oh, God. This is a cow. Okay? This is a cow. All right? Cows are ruminants. They have 4 stomachs. We have 1. You guys notice how my goats are always chewing? And how Winnie is always chewing even if she's not eating? She can be lying down, hasn't eaten forever, and she's just sitting there chewing. You ever heard the phrase chewing cud? Okay? So, Winnie's going to eat food, right? Food's going to go in here. It's going to go into one of her stomachs. Look, if you really want to know the names, screenshot this, because I don't need to tell you. And like, it's not that important. Those are all the names. I did this research and then I forgot. But those are the names of the stomachs if you want to know. Doesn't really matter. What you need to understand is that it goes into a stomach, okay? There's microbes in this stomach that help break it down, okay? It goes back up. Yes, it goes back up into their mouth. They chew it for a second time. That's what chewing cud is. Goes in their stomach, digests a little bit, goes back up into their mouth, they chew it, then it goes back down, and then it goes through their whole digestive system and then out. So here we are with these microbes, right, in this part. You guys probably understand with common sense that if you were to eat a handful of grass, you're going to get way less nutritional value out of that handful of grass than you would eating a handful of beef. Duh. Right? Why are cows able to eat grass? They mostly eat grass, right? And be their size and survive off of it. But if we just tried to eat grass, live off of grass, we could not. Why is that? Because cows are ruminants and they have these microbes that we do not have. Okay? So when cows eat grass, they have microbes that extract nutrients from it and make it into a really nutrient-dense material for cows. Okay? However, when those microbes are doing that process, making grass into something that's nutrient-dense, that becomes the flesh of that cattle, they release methane. It releases, I shouldn't go out. It releases methane, CH4, as a byproduct. Okay? And then it's in the cow, it's a gas, right? It's a gas, so it can't just build up inside the cow. That doesn't actually happen. But you know what happens when there's gas buildup inside of a mammalian body? They fart and they burp to release that gas. All right? That's how methane is produced. Does that make sense to you guys? Does that make sense? Cool. Yeah. So it can't be that much, right? It can't be that serious. It's just a cow, you know? It's a ton, guys. It's like a crazy amount. This is a chart that shows methane, or no, okay, it shows gases, greenhouse gases as emissions. And they have this conversion that changes it to millions of tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. There are several greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is one of them. You guys, I don't know if it matters that much to you, but just for the sake of my scientific credibility, methane only lasts in the atmosphere for about 10 years and carbon dioxide lasts forever. And so comparing the two and like making a constant to put it on the same scale is not really fair. But for the sake of teaching, so you guys have a scope and you understand how big this is, we're gonna go ahead and look at this graph, okay? So in millions of tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, all right, beef cattle, almost 2,500 millions of tons, okay, of greenhouse gases, right? Dairy cattle, over 2,000 of millions of tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, okay? And then if you just look, I don't know, can you see that well enough? The next one is pigs, and it goes all the way down to 668. The difference between cattle, dairy, and beef and any other animal in the animal agriculture system is huge. Huge. The methane that cattle produce is huge. So we got pigs, we got buffalo, chickens, small ruminants, other poultry. It just goes down significantly. And so it is a really big deal. It's a big difference. I think people thought of this in the headlines being like, cow farts are ruining our environment. For the record, it's mostly burping. I don't know if you guys care about that. It's mostly from burping. But anyway, it really is significant. It's like really, really significant. So yeah. Does that make sense? Everybody following? Got it. Cool. And cows can't not produce methane, for the record. It is part of their natural digestive system. Methane is produced as a byproduct of those microbes breaking down material in their stomachs. It's just how their digestive system works as ruminants. Cool. Cool. All right. So, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Okay. So, let's go into recommendations, shall we? No, not we this is a longer section. This is not like really the end of this. This is a longer section. Recommendations. So, no, we shouldn't cancel cows. Here, I'm sitting. Recommendations. Cows are not the problem, right? Cows exist naturally. They produce methane naturally. It's all normal. What's not normal is the scale at which we produce beef. Okay? The demand for beef is so high that we have so many cattle and so much methane being produced that it is not sustainable. That is the problem. Okay? So, recommendation number 1. I'm not going to tell you to go vegan, and I'm not going to tell you to be a vegetarian. But I do think that we need to consume less animal products, particularly beef. Okay? It's not sustainable at the rate that we're consuming it now. We're going to have to feed, I forget what the number is, but the population that we have to feed by 2050 is insane. And we're just destroying our planet by eating so many animal products. Okay? It's a problem for our environment, and it's a problem for animal welfare. The bigger these industries get, the more animal welfare concerns that we see arise. The less space that they have, the less time that we can give each animal, the less concern we can have for each individual animal's welfare, because we have no time, because we're cranking them out, right? It's what happens when we mass produce animals. The demand is too high. All right? That's number 1. Number 2, this one says, I'm gonna tell you guys about all the food labels. You guys know how long it took. I think I have successfully ranked every food label for beef in the United States. Okay? And I have a whole, I'm going to tell you about every single one of them. All right? I'm going to tell you about every single one of them in just a second. So I'm going to show you guys a tier list of the food labels, what you should look for if you're going to buy meat in the grocery store from both an animal welfare standpoint and from an environmental standpoint. Okay? Primarily animal welfare. But yeah, talk to your friends. Tell them about this. It's something that people talk about it a little bit, but not really. People don't realize how big of a deal it is, how big of a deal this industry is. Number 3, try vegetarian and vegan meals every once in a while. I know that sounds kind of silly. Again, not telling you to go vegan, not telling you to be a vegetarian, but I grew up in a household where meat was the main part of every meal that we had. And then when I stopped eating meat, or I started eating a lot less meat, I was like, this is not a complete meal. You know, it just doesn't feel complete unless there's like a chunk of meat in it. That's because that's how I grew up, and I think that's how a lot of people grew up eating. But I only meal prep vegetarian and vegan meals, and there are a lot of meals that you can eat that have no animal products in them that do taste complete. You just kind of have to get used to it. It just takes some trial and error, some practice. You know, every once in a while, like order something off of a menu that's vegetarian or vegan, and maybe you'll like it. You know? Then next we have, big one. Don't waste food. Food waste is a huge problem. We expend so many resources producing our food, both produce and animal products, and so much of it goes to waste anyway. So the emissions that are required to produce them don't matter because we throw them away, and then it becomes a whole nother problem because we have all this trash building up on our planet. Food waste is a problem, primarily food waste of animal products, okay? And when I say animal products, I mean eggs, dairy, but even more than that, meat. We have to be very, very careful to not waste meat because a little aware moment here, it is flesh of an actual life. I know that makes me sound like an activist. I know it makes me sound like one of those, but when you consider the idea that Winnie, who you just met earlier, would be shipped off to slaughter at about this point in her life, she's a very normal beef cow, right? The idea of Winnie being processed into a burger that is bought and put on a kid's plate at a restaurant and the kid eats half the burger and is on his iPad and isn't hungry anymore, and then the other half gets thrown away, when you think of that very realistically being Winnie, it's infuriating and really messed up, right? This is a animal, right? This is an animal whose life went into creating this product, and people purchase animal products, people purchase meat and think of it like normal food. You know, I'm not canceling iPad kids. It was an example. You know what I mean? People purchase burger. You purchase a burger and you think of it as normal food, right? You just think of it as whatever. If you're not hungry, you're going to throw it away, right? Half of a burger or whatever. It's like not that big of a deal to throw it away. It is a big deal. Or if you think about Winnie as a steak on someone's plate that they don't finish and it just gets thrown in the trash, isn't that idea infuriating? Reduce food waste, especially food waste of animal products, especially food waste of meat, okay? I've already kind of said this, but we just need to think of meat differently. I really think meat needs to be thought of differently. I think that we need to think of it as like a luxury and as an occasional thing. The nutrient density in meat it goes crazy, right? We know this. But we don't need bacon for breakfast and a turkey sandwich for lunch and a steak for dinner to survive. We don't. It's very normal for people to do that and think that that's a part of every meal. We do not need that to survive, okay? And it is killing our planet because the demand for all of those things is so high. So we just need to eat less meat. You need to think of it as much more special, I think, than we do now, okay? And then lastly, think about Winnie, right? Think about Winnie, because it might be more powerful because I know this cow like in real life and personally. But again, this is a cow that would be shipped off to slaughter now, so she is something that would end up in a grocery store. All of her like siblings related, there were 6 other bottle babies. You guys saw Winnie in the videos at the beginning of this stream from when she was a baby. There were 6 others that I did not pick up that were in that pen with her. They're all probably slaughtered now. Like they're all probably processed at this point. They look exactly like her. They're related to her. They're the same age, same size. They're all going into grocery stores or going into restaurants, or going into whatever. And the idea of all of those cows, like potentially being thrown away as food waste, or someone buying the package of whatever and it going bad in their fridge because it's under a bunch of stuff, is truly tragic. We need to think about meat differently. Like we have to think about it differently. So, one step that you can take to think about meat differently. Food labels. Okay, we can go into grocery stores and we can look for labels, all right? I have looked deeply into all of these labels. If you're not from the US, I'm sorry, all I could do is in the US, okay? it was plenty for in the US, and most of my viewers are US, so that's how I'm gonna do this. All right, here we go. This is a tier list. We're going worst to best. All right, worst to best here. Number 1, natural. A label, it doesn't necessarily look like this. If it says natural on the packaging, it means jack, okay? There is no definition. There's no regulatory definition for the word natural. It is just marketing, okay? L. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Next, free range, okay? This one's crazy. Free range. We're talking about free range, okay? Free range, free range, free range. When you think of free range, what do you think of? That's a good question for you. When you think of something that's free range, what do you think it means? Walking around, cows in a field, freely living, able to walk around, chickens in a field, cows in a field, in a field, in a field, in a field. Right. So you think they're free range. Like you think they're free range walking around. Of course. So free range is a label. Unfortunately, free range means different things for different animal products. Let me note this. Granted, they kind of mean jack for every animal product that I found, but it means different things for poultry. It means different things for eggs. It means different things for cattle. But for cattle in particular, to get a free range stamp, it's not like natural. You can't just put it on anything. You do need to get certified to put a free range stamp on something. You get certified by the USDA. Farmers submit an application to get a free range label, okay? Stamped. And defined by the USDA, it means continuous free access to the outdoors for a significant portion of their lives. What does that mean to you guys? If you hear something like that, what do you think that that means? That they're like outdoors, right? That they're free range, that they're outside. So the loopholes in that regulatory definition by the USDA is that it does not specify how long they need to have access to the outdoors at a time. It doesn't specify how much space they need in the outdoors. Okay? So that picture that I showed you forever ago could be considered free range. The one of the Panhandle feedlot. It doesn't specify how much space they need outside. This is the worst part about the free range label to me, and this is the loophole that a lot of people use to get the free range label. Free range by the USDA does not specify what needs to be on the ground for it to be free range. Okay, so I think one of the biggest things when you think free range, or you think pasture raised, you think of grass, and you think of them being in a pasture, it can be concrete. Legitimately, like they don't require any vegetation. They don't require any specific substrate. It just has to be outside. So the USDA recently certified a program for poultry that are stamped as free range. Like you go to the grocery store, it'll say free range on it. Like literally this chicken product, right? It's like chicken breast or whatever, says free range. And the USDA has certified this corporation that does chickens in a fenced or in a screened patio. So they're on concrete and there's a screened patio, and that's free range. Okay? Worse than all of these things, even though those are all loopholes that you can get around and still be certified free range, the audits by the USDA, they're performed annually, but they're performed remotely. So they don't even go there. They don't even go there to check. You do it remotely. They just send in like what they do, and then they check it off, and they're like, all right, like they audit them, and they audit them remotely. They don't even go to the facility. So free range also means jack, okay? Crazy. Next up, grass-fed beef. We're getting a little better here, okay? We're getting a little better here. This label doesn't always look like this. It's just if it says it's grass-fed, okay? The problem with this, the only problem with this is that it's only a diet claim and it has nothing to do with animal welfare. There are no animal welfare standards that go into this. It's just like it eats grass for its whole life and it's not finished on corn. But that means jack for animal welfare. All right. Next, we have American grass-fed. All right, it's looking better. This label will always look like this. This is an independent certifier. This is separate from the USDA and those remote audits. So American grass-fed requires continuous access to pasture, no feedlots, but there are no welfare standards for the treatment of steer during transport or slaughter. This is a problem for animal welfare. You can have this stamp on, but there are no standards for transport or slaughter. That's a whole nother thing that I didn't really go into because it's kind of a lot. Slaughter is a whole thing. There's a lot of different ways to slaughter beef. Most common is I need Connor to talk about this because I don't want to say this wrong. But one through just like one bullet. I forget what it's called. Like a bolt gun? Like a bolt gun? There's a bullet. They put them in water and then electrify the water. There's a lot of a pressure, a captive bolt. Thank you. Nice. Captive bolt. And when there are no animal welfare standards on slaughter, a lot of times people will just do it as efficiently as possible, which is not the most humane as possible. So I'm not saying that American grass-fed certifiers do not perform ethical slaughter or as ethical slaughter as possible, because we are getting better in these labels, but just note that that's something for this one. It's mostly a diet thing, but this is continuous access to pasture. Next up, we have USDA organic. Let me just, as an ag student, okay, let me just tell you something really quickly about organic. Organic. People think of organic, and I think, I don't know how this happened or how this like came to be, but people think organic and they think, oh, there's no pesticides. Do you think that? When you think of organic, you're like, oh, like there's no pesticides, no poison on this. No, you don't? Okay, well, a lot of people are saying no because I've taught my viewers this. I think a lot of people think no pesticides when they think organic. I think no GMO. Oh my God, that's a whole other. Oh, that's a whole other thing. Okay. Organic does have pesticides. It's just a different class of pesticides. Sometimes with organic, I will say, at least in my experience as an ag student, they have to use much more pesticides to compensate for using pesticides that aren't as strong, that are like more natural. So it's not always a good thing. And then the GMO thing, this is kind of a tangent, separate from the conversation, you guys, y'all, everything is a GMO. The non-GMO thing, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay? Everything is a GMO. Corn is a GMO. Like bananas are a GMO. Everything is GMO, being genetically modified organism. Everything is a GMO. Okay? It's not a bad thing. I don't know who villainized GMOs, but everything's a GMO. Okay? All right. Anyway, USDA organic, quotations, some access to pasture. The problem with the USDA organic label is because everybody loves the organic thing and everybody loves the non-GMO thing. It is extremely popular. Producers want to put this on their product because people love organics. It also means that they can sell them for a lot more. You ever notice organics are really expensive in stores? Everybody wants to be organic. What that means, though, is that USDA cannot keep up with enforcing the standards. USDA cannot, and they already, I'm not going to come for the USDA. They don't have the bandwidth, okay, to regulate all of the organic producers. So yeah, it's just inconsistent in regulating it. This is the one. Oh, USDA allows screen porches as acceptable outdoor access for poultry. So that's the example I called out before. Okay, we're getting better here. American Humane Certified. American Humane Certified. This one is important. You'll see this label on a lot of different animal products. This is a third-party independent certifier. All right, this is outside of like the federal certifications. This is a third party. I read an audit for American Humane Certified. It's 136 items. Okay? It was 48 pages. 48 pages. I read it. It is thorough. Okay? It's thorough. And they do annual audits in person. Oh my God. Crazy. So good. And with 136 item audit, they go in person to audit them, and if they fail enough of the items, they don't get this certification. So they are kept in check, and it has the audit itself has everything from body condition of the animals. If they see an animal that's in poor body condition, if it looks skinny, if whatever, that's an item, to environmental conditions. So cleanliness of their enclosures, like where they're living, if they have enough space, et cetera, and slaughter practices. So they audit slaughter practices as well. So American Humane Certified, we're getting better. Oh, everybody, it's coming up, the label we all know and love, Certified Humane. Certified Humane is even better. They do annual audits. More than thorough. I also read an American Humane Certified, or a Certified Humane audit, and it was 57 pages. 57 pages. Cool thing about Certified Humane, in addition to all the stuff that American Humane Certified has, they also have enrichment requirements. I don't know if you guys are familiar with all the work we do at Alveus. We do enrichment every day. So the animals get toys, they get environmental enrichment, they get different kinds of foods, things that keep them happy in captivity. Certified Humane requires enrichment, which is cool, and I just think speaks a lot to their animal welfare standards, because what livestock is getting enrichment? Not a lot. So it's a cool label. It's very important. The reason we have an emote for that, I only buy my eggs with Certified Humane because I did a whole presentation on the poultry industry and eggs as well. And the labels on eggs are crazy. The whole cage-free, pasture-raised, free-range, it's all kind of bull. Like cage-free just means that there's no bars in between the chickens. So then they'll just put a bunch of them in one small space with just no bars in between them. So then they'll kill each other too. but there's no cages, but they're all just squished together like inside. It's just really dumb. Anyway, I did a whole presentation on food labels for eggs, and the only one that you can really go for is certified humane. Pasture-raised certified humane eggs are the most, I'm going to go ahead, and I did all the research. They're the most ethical eggs that you can purchase on the market right now. They're more expensive, but when you buy pasture-raised certified humane, it's the only egg that you can purchase in store that you know is what it sounds like. Pasture raised, like the chickens are actually outside on grass in a pasture. Like when you think of that, it's what it is. Free range, cage free, all of that. When you think of a pasture, it's usually not what it is. Okay, so we love certified humane. Same thing for beef. Certified humane has a very thorough 57-page audit, enrichment requirements. Then PodChamp, everybody, these are the best 2 food labels that you can look for in the U.S. When you're looking at beef products. Either or. These 2 are the big ones. We have not seen these labels before, but we have animal welfare approved by A Greener World, and we have certified grass-fed by A Greener World. Either of these labels are like your gold standard for if you're buying beef. You got to look for these labels in the grocery store. They will be on your beef, okay? So, the one on the left, the animal welfare approved by A Greener World, AGW. Welfare standards include breeding, transport, and slaughter. It guarantees outdoor raising on pasture or range for the entirety of their lives. And pasture and range are defined by animal welfare approved or by AGW. And they're defined as you would expect them to be. When you think of a pasture, they define them that way. So, yeah. This is not an ad. Oh, you got ads. I'm so sorry. I'm not being paid by these people. Okay. Then the other one, certified grass-fed by A Greener World. Okay. They're raised on pasture for their entire life while holding all of the animal welfare standards that you'd expect. The pasture is defined to be completely, okay, these ones have audits as well, and they are thorough. All I'm going to tell you about these 2 labels is from the research that I did. If you see these labels in a grocery store, they actually give you what you think you're buying. When you see the pasture raised, when you see grass-fed, when you think whatever, you need to see these labels to know that you're not getting scammed, to know that those animals are actually experiencing what they're marketing, what they know that you think. I know I'm not articulating well, but you know what I mean? Like if you see these labels, you actually know that they're like in a pasture, you know, and grass-fed and taken care of. Whereas the other ones just look like that, but really there's loopholes everywhere. So these are your gold standard labels if you're going to purchase beef. I will say, again, I do not purchase meat in grocery stores anymore. I'm not saying that you can't. Of course you can. But it is so hard. Traceability is so hard nowadays because we have so many animal products being produced. And to the point where I don't feel comfortable purchasing meat in a grocery store anymore. But if you're going to, you look for those labels. Okay, that's the best that you can do. But please purchase it less. Okay, just purchase it less. If you're going to purchase it less, meat alternatives. This is the last section that I'm going to do here. Okay, we all know meat alternatives. There are a lot. What is the alternative to a grocery store? Here's an alternative. Okay. There are so many meat alternatives on the market nowadays. People are saying nah. People are saying no thanks. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. People don't like meat alternatives. Some people don't. Let me just tell you about them, though, because I wanted to talk about them because I thought it was important. Okay? So, the meat alternatives. Your Beyond Meat. Your Impossible. Your, what is that? Your plant-based whatever. Anything that's like vegan deli slices. You know, stuff like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. They definitely use less emissions, less land, less water than the beef industry. Okay? Definitely less of an environmental impact than the beef industry. Not necessarily less than all animal industries. From what I've found, and it's very hard to find good research on this because every research study is supported by a business that wants them to say something, and so it's very hard to do this research. But from what I found, this is just what I found, okay? It looks like the emissions from producing these products, because production causes emissions, it's a processed product, right? It looks like the emissions are about the same as like the poultry industry, so about the same as chickens. But there are no animal welfare concerns in producing these products. So there's two things to worry about here. There's environmental emissions, there's animal welfare. You might have the same emissions as poultry, but there's no animal welfare concerns, okay? So I have that's what I have for you there. They are not necessarily better for you than meat, okay? A lot of them are worse for you than meat. It's not my job. I'm a conservationist, I'm not a dietitian. Also, I'm not an economist. I realize that me preaching these things and saying, eat less meat. I know you can go to McDonald's and get a really affordable meal that is sufficient for like now like $8. But I know that it's not an option for everybody. Like, do what you can. I know that going vegan is not possible for everyone. It can be expensive to do. Like, I know it's a lifestyle commitment. I know it's not easy. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not an economist. I'm not a sociologist. I'm a conservationist. So I'm only focusing on this bit, but don't think that I'm undermining the fact that like it's not this easy for everybody. I'm just telling you from the environmental and the animal welfare side, okay? Processing and industrialization uses resource and creates emissions. Yes, I already said that. Animal welfare concerns are eliminated with plant-based products. The thing about plant-based products that is important to me, even though I don't love all of them, I don't like all of them, and I don't I don't really care to buy them, but I do. Every time a fast food chain or something comes out with a vegan product, or like a Beyond Burger or whatever, I purchase it. If I see like new vegan products, like new vegan nuggets in the grocery store, I usually purchase them because I think that it makes a statement. They're becoming more popular. Look at like the almond milk industry, right? Look at like milk alternatives. How many milk alternatives do you see in the grocery store now, and how many new shelves do they take up compared to when almond milk first came out? It's supply and demand, guys. Very simple. Voting with your wallet. When you purchase meat alternatives, it is a very clear statement that that you don't want to eat animal products. And then more businesses come up that are trying to produce better meat alternatives, cheaper meat alternatives, it's supply and demand. And so I purchase these things despite the health concerns and the emissions concerns, and we're not really sure. I purchase them as a statement that there's demand for it, because we need to use less animals, we need to produce less animal products, and so I support those industries for that reason, if that makes sense. And they're fun to try, whatever. Like, you could try like a Beyond Burger, sure, let's see if it tastes like meat. Kind of fun to do, right? They got a ways to go, but some of them are actually really good. That is it for the meat alternatives. I think it's an important statement to make. That is it. We're going to go do a Q&A. Do you guys want me to do the Q&A in here, or do you want to go back down to Winnie? Winnie? Okay. Space is going to set up the backpack. I'm going to pee so fast, you're not even going to know that I left. Hold on. I'll run back. Space setting up the backpack. Give me 1 second. We're going to go down to Winnie. We're going to do a Q&A. If you have questions, do #ask followed by your question, and I will pull them up down there, and I will answer as many as I can to the best of my ability, but I feel a little underqualified, but I'm going to do my best. Hold on.
Chat. Hello. Are you guys gonna hang around for volunteer day afterwards? Because we are doing some great stuff in the marmoset enclosure. It's looking so good. We're digging holes. We love digging holes. It's crazy. We're excited. So you guys need to come on. What do you think of my demonstrations on testicles, bull testicles, and castrating them? Is that good? Now let me tell you how my wife castrated. It was good. It's crazy. It sucks. It sucks. But tell us about slaughter methods. I was going to go to vet school, and I was president of the veterinary club, and I was like, USDA hires a lot of vets to make sure that meat processing is fine. So we went and toured slaughterhouses to see what those vets do and toured the vets. And honestly, it's not for me. Awful. It sucks. There are some good places that do a good job, but it sucks. So boss is back. Okay, goodbye.
Hello. I'm ready.
And how my wife castrated me too.
Hey. All right, I need to pull up the.
I have it in the other phone.
You have it? Should I?
The AMA.
Yeah. Oh, should I take that phone?
If you want, I
Thanks.
just trigger. It's easy.
Guys, I have your questions. Let's go down to Winnie and I'll start answering them. Good? All right. Am I still on the front page?
No.
Here comes the drop off. We'll see.
It's not much of a problem.
I know, it's crazy. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. I worked very hard on this presentation. I feel very, stressed trying to convey all the information. It's a lot of learning. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, let's look at some questions. I am going to do my best to answer these questions. Again, well, I don't know why I keep discrediting myself, but I'm sorry if I can't answer them all. Alright, I'm gonna do my best. Here we go. Any EU folks want to figure, I assume this person is talking about branding. It's like negative 968 degrees Fahrenheit is what degrees Celsius? Negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit is what Celsius? If you guys could put that in chat, that would be great. Help him answer that question, because I don't freaking know. I don't use Celsius. I only use the freaking Fahrenheits. That is for branding, the iron temperature that they use to brand cattle. Hi, buddy. Do you want some help? This is my horse. He's not a part of this program, he just lives here. You wanna go eat some grass? Okay, you can't be halfway through the Go! Dude, go eat grass up there. Oh my god. Don't go behind a horse like that. Okay. You're not capital D pulling me. She's fine. Okay. Here she is. She's ready for the Q&A. Let's see. Don't scare her. I'm just gonna see if I can sit next to her if she'll let me. Hi, Win. You want to answer some questions with me? Can we answer some questions together? All right. Let's see. Okay, kind of related. Why is branding a thing when you can just put different color bells on their necks or something? So like spray paint and stuff doesn't last, and bells get caught and stuff. I think they're just dangerous. So branding's permanent, happens once, it's done, it's always there. Let's see. Okay, this is a very opinion-based answer, but the question is there a realistic method of making the industry as a whole more humane at its current scale, or is it necessary to be scaled back in order to improve the general living conditions of the animals? My personal opinion
And answer to that question is that it has to be scaled back to be more humane. If I had like 60 cows in this pasture, I would not be able to brush all of them every day. I would not be able to halter train all of them because I don't have that kind of bandwidth. We only have one cow, and so she gets brushed and she gets special grain every day, and she gets halter trained, and she gets outside time where she gets to go outside and spend time outside. If she has any wounds, we treat them with Neosporin and we clean them out, and that's because there's only one of her, right? It's just how it works. It's how it works with like mass producing things. This is a good question too. Tripod said, going vegetarian and vegan often feels so unimpactful when you see the statistics of how big the industry is and the effect it has on the planet. What else can people do in their everyday lives to help? Okay, two separate things here. It's similar to saying, like, why vote? Because it doesn't matter. You know, like, why would I even vote when this all is going to happen anyway? It does matter. And then if you take the example of, I really like using almond milk as an example, because that wasn't even like an animal welfare problem. It was that pretty much everybody is lactose intolerant, tangent. We need lactase to digest lactose. Most people don't keep producing the lactase enzyme once we wean off of our mothers, because it's just to break down milk. So like everyone's lactose intolerant. A lot of people are lactose intolerant. So people are just like, oh, this works for me and it doesn't hurt my stomach, right? But because so many people wanted almond milk, now it is in every grocery store. Like, you can get a milk alternative. That's supply and demand. That's a real thing that happens. And it's the same thing with meat alternatives. We just did a vegan cooking stream yesterday, and Connor went to one store thinking he was going to have to go to several to get a bunch of products. And he only had to go to one because there were several shelves of meat alternatives. It's something that happens when you buy those products. Grocery stores are like, oh, like, we're running out of stock of these meat alternatives. Maybe we should try this one and this one. Maybe people will buy them. It happens in your local grocery store. It does matter. But then, what else can people do in their everyday lives to help? Hello, donkey. Visiting. I do think it's kind of a lame answer, maybe not good enough for you, but I do think that talking to your friends about these industries help. I think that thinking about beef and other animal products differently helps. Hi. There's lots of things that you can do environmentally that help our planet. You know, reduce single-use plastics, recycle, reduce your water use, whatever. They're all small stuff, but together it all makes a really big difference. It really does, I swear. Also, me telling all of you this, there's thousands and thousands of you here right now. It matters, you know? Are you sleeping? Tired. Okay. What else we got? Nice. Exclamation mark plush. This is not a question. We do have a Winnie plushie if you want it. All the proceeds from all of our plushies obviously go to, 100% of the proceeds go to Alveus Sanctuary. So if you want a Winnie plushie, you can get one. They're really cute. They look like her. I like them a lot. All right. This is one I didn't talk about. Is lab-grown meat okay? Lab-grown meat is sick. It's a very cool idea. The problem is that we can't produce it quickly, efficiently, or in a cheap way yet. It's very expensive. I think it could get to the point where it like really is a big deal and like really does change the world, but right now it's just, it needs a lot more time to be developed. So I didn't really talk about it today because I don't even think you can buy it, right? Like, can you buy that in a store? I don't think you can yet. So we will see. But could be very cool. Could be very cool. Lord, okay, if pork was as popular as beef, would methane production of pigs be equivalent to cows? No, because pigs are not ruminants. So cows produce a ton of methane because the microbes in their stomach produce methane as a byproduct when they're digesting grasses and stuff. It's part of their digestive system as the type of animal they are, as a ruminant. Pigs are not ruminants. They don't produce as much methane as cows. So no, it would be less. Are Impossible Burgers any better for the environment? The general consensus that I found is that the emissions from meat alternatives are about the same as emissions from the poultry industry, which is astronomically lower than the emissions from the beef industry. So it's better for the environment than the beef industry, not necessarily better for the environment than the poultry industry, but you can't even compare those industries. Just poultry is just so much better for the environment. How come Winnie doesn't need to wear an ear tag? We all know who she is. It's just her. So yeah, that's why. A lot of cattle on ranches have ear tags, but that's because there are a bunch. You need to identify them. But it's just Winnie. Excellent question. Where can I watch Winnie 24/7? Alveus Sanctuary on Twitch. This is the pasture cam right there. I don't know if it's on the Alveus channel. It looks like it is because it's pointed at me. Okay, maybe it's not. Well, you can watch all the live cams on the Alveus channel. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking for a good question. My favorite beef alternatives. Beef alternatives. I had a Beyond Burger from, was it Carl's Jr. or something? I like the Beyond beef. I don't know that I've had Impossible beef once. I didn't really like it, to be honest. But it was the ground beef, and I didn't prepare it very well. It was on Nick's stream once. It was not good. But I also cooked it, so it could have been on me. Beyond Beef is pretty good. She's chewing cud, guys. Ruminant. Look at her go. Okay, a lot of these questions are the same, so it's just taking me a bit to scroll through them and find different ones. How did you get in contact with the ranch that had Winnie? The ranchers, the people that own the ranch, went to high school with my mom. And so I told my mom, I was like, man, I really want a cow so I can teach people about the beef industry, but I don't know where to get a baby cow without like purchasing one, because I wanted to rescue one. Like I thought the story would be way cooler. And then my mom was like, oh, my friend from high school, I think she has a beef ranch. And so she sent her an email and she's like, my daughter does this thing. And she was like, oh, crazy, like I just have all these bottle babies and I don't want to bottle them. Like if she wants one, she can come get it. And so I did. That's how I got Winnie. Okay, sorry. All right. Let's see. This is a question I don't really know the answer to. Will plant-based food ever taste as good as their counterpart? I would like to think yes. I mean, even since I started trying plant-based foods in college, they've gotten way better. Like, there are plant-based foods. I constantly am feeding my boyfriend plant-based foods and not telling him, and he doesn't. There are several times where he just doesn't know. They're getting better. I mean, with more demand, like they're taking more time to perfect stuff, you know. So yeah, they'll get better. Are the flies neutral for the cows or harmful, or are they beneficial? Flies suck. They break down manure, but for the most part, they're a problem for livestock. They like get in her eyes, they bother her eyes, and they eat at wounds on Serrano's legs. The flies are really annoying. Winnie does like spending time with people. Again, she's a bottle baby, and she's just like had a ton of time with people, so she's real friendly. Is Winnie a dairy or beef cow? She's a beef cow. She's a Red Angus beef cow. At what age were you interested in animals? My parents used to have me ride goats when I was like 18 months old. They like put me on a goat, see how long I could sit up there. I grew up on a farm, so I've always been around animals. What to say to the people who say plant-based still hurts the environment? It's valid. I mean, processing anything, producing anything produces emissions. You can argue with them about like the amount of emissions produced. It's kind of hard to do without numbers in front of you. So if I was going to say anything back, it would just be that they may still produce emissions, harmful emissions for the environment, but there's no animal welfare concerns involved. So that's pretty valid, you know. There are two perspectives there that are important to think about. This is a great question. I wish I had the answer now, but I'm going to have to do an entirely new animal quest on the dairy industry. It said, are there certain animal cheeses that are more ethical or environmentally friendly than cows? I got to do a whole separate thing on dairy because I haven't done all the research. I just dove into beef for this one. But I'll do another one. I'll do one on dairy so we can talk about all the labels on milk and cheese and yogurts and stuff like that. Sorry. Why is it that all plant-based products are always trying to imitate their meat counterpart? Why not make their own? Because people want meat. You know, people are just so used to eating meat for every meal. You can sit down if you want. I don't know if you want to. People are used to eating meat. Like, people want the taste of meat. It's just what they're used to, and they don't want to replace it with something. You know, they just want it. But then people want it without hurting animals or hurting the environment, so they do their best to emulate it. Excellent question. Do you have to milk her or she doesn't need to be? So I talked about this a little bit before today. Cows don't produce milk unless they're bred. Winnie's a year old. She's never been bred, so she will not produce milk ever unless she was bred. So she does not need to be milked. That's the same for all the milk that you buy in stores. All of those cows have to be bred to produce milk, just like people. So would it be okay to have a cow as a pet? Cows are certainly domesticated. They were domesticated, started domestication 10,000 years ago. Some people have cows as pets, but you need so much land. You can't just have a cow if you have a normal house and a normal backyard. You need farmland and pasture to have a cow. But people have cows as pets, I guess. Don't go getting one of those baby little Highland cows thinking you can keep it in your house. You can't, I swear. They produce a lot of poop. You don't want to do that. So a bunch of people a bunch of people asking about free range and other labels and stuff like that. Go back in the stream. I did a whole tier list of all the food labels that you can find in grocery stores and which ones to look for. I ranked them from worst to best. Okay. Okay. Is the cud always in her mouth? How does she save it for later? So Winnie will eat hay. It'll go down into her stomach. It'll process in her stomach a little bit. It'll come back up into her mouth, and then she'll chew it again. So what she's chewing in her mouth right now was in her stomach before. and she's chewing it again, and then she'll swallow it. So no, it's not always in her mouth. It's just like a process, a digestive process that happens. It smells terrible. I don't know if you guys have ever smelled cud, but it's like really gross because it was in her stomach, literally. Yummy. Okay. How many stomachs does she have? 4? It's like the mark of a ruminant is 4 stomachs. I'm gonna do a couple more questions. If you guys have any burning questions, do #ask and then ask them now. Okay. What's your favorite non-meat product? With protein in it, I like garbanzo beans. I eat chickpeas, and I like tofu a lot. I'm half Japanese. I grew up on tofu. I feel like sometimes you kind of have to grow up on it to like it, but I really do like tofu. So I eat a lot of tofu. Yeah. Okay. All right, let me go look at these last burning questions. Let's see. Oh. Sorry, hold on. Okay. Oh, there are a lot. What's your favorite color? Thank you for the burning question. I'm not sure. Winnie? We get her a bunch of pink stuff for no reason. She has a pink brush and a pink halter, so maybe it's pink. Okay, alright. What else we got? This is a really good question that I meant to bring up, so thank you for asking it. Spaghetti said, how do farmers markets compare to grocery stores as far as animal welfare? So it's a toss-up, right? I think that you have a better chance of eating traceable, more ethically raised meat if you go to a farmer's market, because producers at a farmer's market are small, or they're going to be small producers. You're not going to get the big boys at a farmer's market because they're not going to waste their time that way. And so your chances of getting smaller operation, more humanely raised beef are much higher if you buy them at a farmer's market. So you should try. Also, you can talk to those producers. Connor and Kayla met some really great beef producers at a farmer's market, and they literally invited us to the ranch. And we went out there to their cattle ranch and saw their whole operation, and they told us about everything and showed us around because they want people to know how their animals are raised. So a lot of those producers are really small and really care. It's a good shot. However, there's less regulatory agencies involved, probably, but honestly, those agencies do a really bad job for the most part anyway, so it's worth a shot, but it's hard to confirm, confirm where that's coming from. I don't know if that question popped up, but I did try to set it. Okay. This guy, I don't know if you can see this one either, but Princeton said, can Winnie tell the difference between different people at Alveus? That's a good question. Yeah, I think so. Kayla and Ella spend a lot of time training her. I don't spend a lot of time training her, but I think she knows who we are. Okay. Do Winnie's different stomachs serve different purposes? Yeah, they do. Could I tell you what each purpose of each stomach is and what all the stomachs are called? In 2019, yes, I could have told you that when I was in school. Now, I can't. I'm so sorry. The food labels that I did in this presentation today are specifically for beef, not for chicken and not for eggs. They're all different for all the different animal products. The one that I did today is for beef. All right, last question. Call me Sia. What's her name? This is Winnie the Moo. Today's all about her. She doesn't really know, but today's all about Winnie the Moo. Why is she so pretty? She looks fake. She's beautiful. She's amazing. Winnie the Moo. And she's famous. She's famous and amazing. Main character every day. What's she chewing for so long? Her cud. She's ruining it. She's just chewing away. Alright guys, that is it for the Winnie Animal Quest. I hope you like Winnie. Again, Winnie was a beef cow. She would be shipped off about this point in her life for the beef industry. Today I just wanted to talk about the beef industry, talk about how it impacts our environment, talk a little bit about animal welfare, but mostly just tell you guys that the way that we're consuming animal products right now is not sustainable. And again, I'm not telling you to be vegan or be vegetarian, but we need to consume less animal products if we want to sustain our planet and sustain life on this planet. I'm not just talking about life, other species, I'm talking about our lives. Like, we're doomed if we keep consuming animal products the way that we're consuming them. So we need to consume a lot less of them. Think twice about when you're eating beef. Really, like, this is a beef cow. Like, she would be processed for beef, and she would be in a grocery store or in a restaurant around this time in her life. Like, so think about cows like this, and think about the individual animals when you're choosing animal products. It's important. And yeah, don't waste food either, especially animal products. Imagining a cut of her meat or Winnie as ground beef being thrown away because you're not hungry anymore, or you like didn't want to finish your burger, is super depressing, and just such a waste of both like her as an individual, like this individual life, and all of the emissions and resources that would go into producing a cow like this. So please don't waste animal products in particular, no food waste in general, but try really hard not to waste meat in particular, because that's really sad. Really bad for the environment and just really sad. So, yeah. Or just don't buy flesh. I realize I've probably angered people on both sides today in doing this presentation. I will say I am a conservationist, right? I went over this whole thing. I'm not here to tell you like what choices to make. I'm just telling you about how the industry impacts our environment. I think the polarization on both sides is really dangerous. I think it leads people in the wrong direction. And so I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. I'm just going to teach you, and then you can make your own choices. But I appreciate you guys listening. I hope that helped. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope I was as balanced as possible here. I do care about both sides. So I hope that makes sense to all of you. And I also don't think it would be effective for me to come on the stream and tell all of you to go vegan and just like convince you right now to like change your life and change your whole lifestyle and like make that, I just don't think it would work. So I would rather take small steps, and for you guys to take small steps in that direction of just consuming less. Cool? Consuming less animal products, wasting less animal products, so on and so forth. No, but how is it bad for the environment? So the VOD will be up. The VOD will be up after the stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will do a whole animal quest on the dairy industry as well. She's got to get up. She's got to get up. Just repeat everything. I'll do a whole, no she's not. She's just resting. I'll do a whole presentation on the dairy industry as well, but Animal Quest we do on all of the species at Alveus. All of them are up on my channel. They're highlighted on my channel. If you want to go see the chickens or the emu or any of our parrots or the cockroaches, I did presentations on all of them. And they're on the Alveus website if you want to go check that out. They're all archived there, so you can go find them there. Thank you, Matt, for linking that. Perfect, amazing. I'm going to start a raid for Alveus right now. If you guys like what's going on here, if you guys like the cow, you'll probably like all of our other animal ambassadors, all here to teach people about different industries, the fur industry, the traditional medicine industry, the pet trade, etc., etc. There are live cams on all the animals in their enclosures, so you can see what they're doing on the Alveus stream. So go follow the Alveus stream if you want to meet more of the animals, get to know more of the animals, see more of Winnie. And if you want a Winnie plushie, you can do Command Plush. They're very cute. 100% of the proceeds go to supporting the care of these animals, including Winnie. So that's pretty fun if you want a plushie. Kind of fun. Thank you guys for watching. I will not be live tomorrow, but I will be live on Monday for Meal Prep Monday. Thank you, Winnie, for your time. She's really busy, so her fitting us into her schedule today was really nice of her. She didn't have to do that. Alright. See you guys later. You want to just do a close-up on her face while we wait for the raid to go through? I'm setting it up. It's going. Goodbye, everyone. Say goodbye to Winnie. Kayla just texted me, why is Winnie so cute? She's so cute. And famous. So cute and famous, a star. Amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Itchy. Alright, I think you're good to switch, yeah.